Tell us something that voters might not know about you. Tell me about something that voters might not know about you that you might want them to know as a part of this election, or just something about you that you think.
Well, it's I think one of the things is I have a pretty diverse background. I actually started my career with a biology degree here at MU and worked in a research lab for a number of years. And before I kind of made a shift over to educational technology and working with some schools on using technology in the classroom. And then eventually made another shift to starting my own business, kind of based on some of those technology skills that I developed there. And so I think that's some folks don't know the fact that I've kind of had a different background, I guess, starting out especially in biology.
Mm-hmm. Why should people, people sort of, county government doesn't really get the kind of press that city government does. And I think a lot of people are less familiar with it in terms of like how, everything works and how that really affects them. Why should people care about this race? And what do people need to know to make a decision about this race?
Well, county government is very important because when you look at it, it's the one entity that provides this kind of basic level of service that helps our democracy and our economy function. So you're talking about things like a county clerk that actually conducts the elections. You're talking about our jails, our sheriff, our prosecuting attorney, the court system, the recorder of deeds, which is important in real estate and other business transactions, marriage licenses, things of that nature. So it's you're right that a lot of people don't always know all the things, all the services that county government provides, but it does provide this layer of service. It's kind of universal all over the state. So whether you're in a city or not, you are able to vote and you're able to receive these police protection and or sheriff's protection and access to the court system and things like that. So it's a very important part of our country, and Boone County's been around for just about 190 years now, and so we've been this form of government has proved itself to do well.
One of the big issues that you see a lot in headlines, and it's kind of a macro issue covering a lot of different things, is development has become a big issue. And you see that when you look at Columbia's explosive growth, and also kind of headlines that you see about things like a new data center coming into town and business development on that side of things. Kind of what's your philosophy on development? How do you plan to approach the issue?
Well, I think when you're talking about development issues, what people sometimes see or think about is retail development, and that's really not where I think we need to concentrate our economic development efforts. It needs to be on these core jobs that people are going to come here and have houses built and go shopping in those retail establishments. But you're right that not only does it affect here in Columbia, but Hallsville, I think, has grown in its city size nearly three times its size in the past 10 years. Ashland is expanding as well. And so it's an issue throughout Boone County. One of the things I'm going to go to tonight is the city council meeting here, where I'm sure if you're following things that the East Area Plan and the Richland Road development are kind of coming together, and we'll see if those two things, how they merge, or whether they, how the city council deals with that. I think that has been an interesting process to watch. I'm sure it's not a perfect process, but I think it's one that involves folks in that discussion as early on as we can. And I think that's a big thing that I want to do, is to make sure that we're proactive about some of these issues instead of just reacting to the issues as they come up, and that can save us a lot of money, if we take that type of approach.
Mm-hmm. Talking about that East Area Plan, so far as I understand, you're kind of taking a wait-and-see approach on it, yet you're not kind of wanting to pass judgment either way on it yet. Is that kind of the way you see it?
Well, the major issues that come with that plan are going to be in the city, because the city provides the access to utilities that the county does not have. So that's why, when you look at development in that plan, the planned areas that are development are ones that are going to be in the city, whereas the areas that are agricultural and are not planned for that type of development are in the county. And that is simply because the city is able to provide additional layers of services, such as the utilities, water and sewer and things like that, that are perhaps better suited for those types of developments. So I think it's a good process that we need to watch and see how we can do those types of joint planning efforts, because certainly the county was involved with their planners, and folks that are in the county were involved in that plan.
So corollary to the whole bigger development issue is the stormwater issue that's been obviously with the development of the plan for that over the past couple of, I think, years at this point, been, kind of another one of those tightrope walking kind of balancing acts where you're trying to balance, people on one side who say this is a very restrictive policy that kind of makes it very hard for businesses to develop, to the other side where you really have to mitigate the consequences of stormwater runoff. I mean, where do you kind of sit on that, and why have you've said that you would be the best candidate to handle stormwater issues? Why do you sort of say that?
Well, I think one of the things is I've actually taken a limnology class. So when you actually talk with the people from the EPA or DNR about water quality issues, that's one of the courses that I took in college. And so I understand some of the science behind the numbers about what they're talking about. The stormwater plan just was really enacted in, I think, April 15th of last year, if I remember correctly, is when the regulations actually took effect. And that plan has a built-in review period, I think, every year. So it'll be this coming spring where we'll start to review and ask some of those questions that you just asked about the implementation of the stormwater plan. Now, one of the issues I think that we're going to have to see with that is to see that kind of regular review, because frankly we haven't had a whole lot of development going on because of the kind of overdevelopment or built up resources that we have now as far as commercial and residential real estate. But I think that's going to change soon. We're going to start to see, we're already starting to see more building permits, and I think that we do need to evaluate it, but I think my opponent said something like it's horrific and needs to be changed. And it's been less than a year that we've had it in place, and I'm not really sure I think it's premature to rip it out and start over.
Your opponent has also mentioned things like the zoning rules. That's kind of one of his main, top of the platform issues, where he talks about how he wants to go line by line and kind of reevaluate the entire process of how the city is doing zoning issues. And he's not the first to suggest that the county policies are restrictive to business growth. I guess, what do you say to address those concerns of those people who are afraid that now that business permits are trying to pick up, how can, that they want to expand business growth more, if you understand where I'm going with that? I mean, where do you fall on that?
Well, I think that first of all, you have to realize that regulations are often there to protect both sides of a transaction or both sides of the issues. So just the idea of we're just going to sit down with the development community and ask them, what don't you like here, and nix that, is not necessarily a good idea for everybody involved, including the developers and their, I think, in the long term. One of the things that we are doing is, as that the county is expanding to the third floor there at the government center, is bringing the part of the public works and the planning department together, so it'll make it a lot more efficient for people that are involved in development. And I think that we need to be looking at our processes, whether they're in planning and zoning, or whether they're in public works or any department, about how we can improve those processes. One of the things we have here in town is we have a Midway Arms, which has recently received the Baldridge Award, which is basically a set of criteria for how you go through and improve business processes and make sure that you're providing good services to your clients. And I think that is, I've been going to a number of seminars put on by Larry Potterfield, the CEO of Midway Arms, and I think that's a process that we could bring into the mix for asking our constituents, be they developers or be they people that own land, get the feedback about the process. So,
do you think that we've found a good balance, just sort of where we are between, if you want to put them on two sides of the same teeter-totter. Do you think that we've found a good balance between development and regulation for things like stormwater and urban sprawl, smart growth type policies? Do you think we found a good balance at this point?
I think we're headed in the right direction. I think, anything like this, as you mentioned, we're trying to balance. You sometimes have to put a little more weight on this side or a little more weight on that side until you find that balance. But I think it's something that you manage over a period of years. And certainly we can't anticipate changes that are going to happen in different practices or different types of development that might want to occur here. So.